you know, didn't exist anymore.
So when Hef was on the front page of the Times about 10 days ago.
Yeah, he is a very important icon in sculpture.
Are you having a day job at the same time? Were you able to?
At that time?
It,
oh, yeah. Oh,
what,
yeah.
What were you doing in your day job?
Well, first, so this fabulous Kiwanis studio, the guy who was sort of illegally renting us with workspace, he sold tiles for industrial spaces. So I worked for him, and then I started freelancing and doing. I worked for artists. I worked for galleries, building crates and things, and then I ended up getting interested in art direction and working on art direction for commercials. Really low budget commercials, but low budget pays in commercials. Television commercials pays like 1,000-fold, like what you get paid in the gallery.
You can give us an example. What commercial can you remember working on?
Telemundo. You know, like make it look like an high-end flea market. I mean, like this was like the job. I was like, make it a high-end flea market, you know, and then you go out and you get things and you sort of try to come up with this idea, and you know, you're sort of putting your stuff around. And I had these great platform shoes, and you know, it's just like that, and basically, you know, it's like set dressing and stuff. And I realized, I'm just going to say, after being in the sculpture department with these huge spaces, you learned about drywall and you learned about steel stud and building spaces, because a lot of sculpture students were doing that, and also you sort of needed to change the spaces because they were so enormous. You sort of, and so I learned a lot about just basic building. Don't hire me as a contractor, but I know how to build stuff, and I know how to thread pipe, and I know how to do these things at a real basic level, and you know, whatever. But
could you say something about your T-shirt?
Would you like to?
Well, I saw the design when I was at your studio, and you said
I showed you yellow.
Absolutely. Who produced it? And
this is a T-shirt that the Art Production Fund here in New York. They invited several artists to submit ideas to the Gap, who do T-shirts that are called the Red Line, where those T-shirts are, you know, all the proceeds go to children in Africa with AIDS, and but Art Production Fund selects them, and so they selected me, and this is what I came up with since I've been working my fishnet, and so this sort of came out of also this kind of moment of work that I've been doing here, and it just came out a couple days ago. Just the Gap did, yeah.
Anybody who reads about your work, we've got the fishnet series on the walls out there, behind me, over here, made in this space. Fashion comes up, couture comes up. Now with the New York City Opera Show, costume comes up. What's your definition of fashion?
Well, that's we're talking about this. Is like, I mean, fashion is sort of, I think, a blanket word, but it doesn't really connect with me. But if that's the way people want to discuss it, I think it, you know, it involves clothes. But if you walk over here and you say fashion, couture, I mean, I don't know if you can tell what this is, but this is basically a stripper's bodysuit, fishnet, and these holes or where her breasts would be revealed, as if, you know, and then the rest of this is sort of wrapped around her. So it is about the body. It's about my interest in architecture continues, and then. But you know, is this fashion? To me, I pick clothing that it appeals to me, that's out there in the world on such a huge base level. You know, I mean, it's the idea of, I don't know if it's a cliche, it's just something that's there. And so I pick the real basic stuff, I think, that talks about the female body in some way and what it represents, whether it's party dress. And to me, those are kind of like the architecture that women wear. I find it fascinating to sort of, you know, appreciate the way things are made for the body and for females, and sort of talk about one's experience and energy when they're wearing these items. So to me, it's not so much about trend and fashion, following all that. It's just more like if you see, like we were talking about, I did a piece called G-force, where it was like 200 bombs that were stretched flying across the Philip Morris headquarters, the Whitney Spirit Event space. And to me, so that did come out of this moment of, I guess, a trend in fashion where Britney Spears, I would say, popularized, the over-the-hips, low-rise jeans with this, like, your underwear out like that. And it looked like they were kind of flying out of the pants. So I, thought that was quite interesting. And
I was at PB Studio on Saturday, Friday actually, of last week. G-Force, of course, G-String. Her studio is in Brooklyn, where Gypsy Rose Lee once lived on Mid-Oz Street with Carson McCullers, Richard Wright, Paul Bowles, Jane Bowles, and wrote a mystery there called The G-String Murders. So there you go.
I didn't make that connection of the G. I have a copy of the G-String Murder on my.
Yeah, probably you would. How about couture?
And then couture is is a very specific idea, and I don't think couture is even so much about fashion related to that. With like Women's Daily, like the great, gorgeous fashion magazines. Couture is one of a kind. It's beautiful, and it's like, supposed to be the most radical expression of a designer. But when you get in there, this idea of couture comes up because couture is something that's made that is so built, it's constructed, and it's made for the person, or it's made for these materials on such a level that's very particular. So it would be like designing a house, like just made up all these things, and it's really made to last, even though maybe only one person in the world will ever wear it. And most interesting is going to work with these retired pieces from the costume archive at City Opera, where I kind of related to couture. Their costumes are constructed like that. They're like sort of the ultimate in garments, because they're built to last. They're built to get through many, many performances year after year. I was just there today, and in the ballet there, they're refurbing all those incredible costumes for the Nutcracker. Like all these tutus there just have fruits and all these things, and they're rebuilding. It's very much about sculpture, and it's very much about wearing on the body, and it's very much about communicating, and it's very much about, it's a character, and the character is really described through clothes. A woman wearing this, like, it's not sort of about her mind, it's sort of about the thing that's communicating. Or when you see a character in the opera, you really don't know like what she looks like, but you know who she is and what she is and what she stands for by that clothes and the costume.
So now we're in costume. This you would call a costume?
Yes.
Okay. You associated this with Spider-Man.
Fishnet stocking.
Fishnet. And you said you would have liked that, to have the web.
Absolutely. When you like the web, you just go up there and see it.
In the comics, when you were a kid, no, this is a later interest, or just something that
I think it's part of my experience at graduate school, sort of looking for images of women that I felt were, independent and powerful and have their own language, and superheroes are characters that are powerful and have their own language, have their own superpowers, and sort of looking for, the female version. And there's not a lot of them that are actually reliable, except for Wonder Woman, who's the best.
Bullets and Bracelets, my favorite game.
What?
Wonder Woman, Bullets and Bracelets, my favorite game.
Well, she can flex.
That's right.
And then she has the golden lasso, which is like the ultimate superpower. I mean, if the UN had the golden lasso, because